I mean,
hold on 1 second.
Briefly, kind of sum. Briefly, kind of sum up everything we kind of talk about, like what really makes you not a statistic.
What makes me not a statistic is
Y'all gonna make me cry.
Woo, girl, that's heavy. Let it go, girl. Yeah, let it go. Whoo, Jesus, thank you. Girl, you're an overcomer.
That's a good question. What makes you not a statistic? Ooh, I wasn't prepared for that.
all the knowledge I had from the past failures to this business, and you're talking about going from zero to like $600,000 a month within 2 years.
Woman, people call me phenomenally Black woman. People call me strong. I'll be all of that, but I just want to see the women that God has called to do a work actually do the work.
I'll allow God to use me, to my fullest capacity. So in every single area of my life, God has access to me. But like the song says, my storage is empty. My storage is completely empty when it's for God. So I'm not a statistic because I'm withholding nothing from God. Nothing. Everything that I have is God's. Every area of my life, God can use me in every single area of my life. There is nothing off limits to God. Nothing.
Because at the end of the day, it's more to us than the kitchen. It's more than us to just Sunday school teaching. It's more to us, watch this, than wearing poofy dresses and big hats and sitting in the pews and just being quiet. There's more to us than that. If I can be successful in the marketplace as a woman, then as a woman of God, in whatever capacity that God has me in, let me be me and let God do the rest.
I teach in the book that you are the greatest technology that has ever existed. There's nobody like Chanel. Nobody. There's nobody like Robert. And what I recognize is that alone, that nobody else carries my DNA.
Hi, can you all hear me? Can you hear me well? Can you hear me?
I hear you well.
Good evening.
Yeah, I hear you.
I do apologize. That never have happened before. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Some things happen like that. But I want to say good evening to you all. We have another episode of Not A Statistic. This is our 13th episode, you all. This is from rags to riches. We have Ladun Thompson on. So we want to thank you again from actor, CEO of BodyOfGod. I want to thank you again, brother, for coming on and accepting the invitation. So as you all come on, say what's up. Great, Cliff. Thank you for joining us. As you all come on, say what's up. Tell us where you all from. We'll shout you all out. So yeah, this episode gonna be a little different, you all. We came on a little bit early. But the show must go on. So I want to appreciate everyone who's going to come on from YouTube, Not A Statistic TV, as well as Facebook on our business page, Not A Statistic Apparel. So I want to appreciate everyone who's going to come on and watch this replay. Hey, how you feeling, Cliff? I appreciate you coming on tonight. So yeah, we're going to go right into it, man. Like, I want to thank Ladun again for joining me tonight. So where you coming from? Where you at?
I'm based in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, so you're in New Jersey. Okay, cool.
New Jersey, from Nigeria. But I still was born and raised. I was born in Atlanta, but I was raised in Nigeria.
Okay.
And then I moved to Newark, New Jersey when I was.
No.
I still was like 10 years old when I moved to Newark, New Jersey. So.
For real.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up. So hey, Dwayne, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate you all so much for joining on a little early. We 2 hours early.
That's my fault, y'all. That's my fault. I did not read the CST at the bottom, and I literally was prepped for 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So
it's cool. I appreciate you though for still joining.
I appreciate the pivot. So
right, you got to pivot, man. You got to be able to pivot when you can. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna tell you all a little bit about how I even came across this gentleman. I actually, so I didn't know about his clothing line before I didn't even know who he was. So you know how you see clothing, you be like, because I would see everybody rocking it, like everybody on social media was rocking it. So my friend had it, and I was like, it said God, my God, the t-shirt, it was in black and white. It was my God versus my enemies. So I was like, what? So then she had got me a shirt for my birthday, but she had got me the size was too small. So I was like, girl, I can't wear this, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to get some gear because
I gotta make sure I get you some stuff then.
Yeah, look out for me, appreciate it. But yeah, like the stuff is fly. And then I had seen your interview on the Sister Circle last year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I heard about you, and then you was recently on Earn Your Leisure, and I was like, okay, this man is doing some big things. So I had wanted to highlight his story. Just his journey was phenomenal. Very peculiar. So I was like, let me join in. He's definitely not a statistic. So I definitely wanted him to come on the show and share his story. Hey, Ariana, thank you for joining us. So we're going to get right into it. So right. Obviously, you told us where you was from. So how was your life growing up?
Life for me was, I grew up pretty good, man. I think I grew up with both my parents. So that's a start for me. Like I did grow up with both my parents. I started in Atlanta, then my parents sent me to Nigeria. Well, they sent me, but they still came there. But I got sent there. That's what happens when Nigerian parents feel like you are steering off the road, but technically you can still be a good kid. All you got to do is probably not get a all A's. Nigerians like, nah, he got to go to Nigeria. He got to go. So that's kind of like how it was. So I went there, I lived there. They didn't send me I wasn't living in the finest of things out there. Like, you know what I mean? I really got an opportunity to be humbled by back then what I thought was a punishment, but it was really like I feel like it was training for life, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Training for who I was meant to be, you know what I mean? And
that's good.
The opportunity to see people and experience the same thing, like to be able to see you watch on TV and you look at like BT at 2 a.m. in the morning, you show the African kids walking barefooted, carrying water on their head. Like, I swear, sometimes if you really look in there, you might see me. Like, there was a point because I got the opportunity to see that and live that lifestyle and be able to, I wasn't excited at the time, but like, you're living in homes that didn't have like water systems. So you had to go get your own water. You had to get your own water that you had to bathe with. It's to the point that I still remember having to go all the way to get water to take a shower. You know what I mean? So living in Nigeria, I moved to Newark, New Jersey, and then I went to elementary school and high school. I went to Arts High School in Newark. And that's where, my passion is. I'm an actor at heart.
Okay.
So, but that's where my passion as an actor began.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So how long was you in Nigeria?
I was in Nigeria for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, wow. It was a nice run out there.
Wow. So it just like you said, you watching like BET and different things of that nature, and like obviously like I never been to Nigeria, so like you said, just even what some of the things that will be shown on TV, I can imagine like you said, some of the kids barefooted with the jug of water on their head. So like, did you obviously when you came back to America, did you try to like pretty much appreciate the life living out here?
I had no choice but to appreciate it. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember everything comes back so clearly, crystal clear, coming back here, and then my first weekend, and because I left when I was a kid. I mean, they sent me when I was 6, so when I came back at 11, my memories were a little faded and jaded.
Yeah.
So coming back, I just remember going to the Chinese store and getting Chinese food, and I'm like, yo, this is the best thing ever. Like, you know what I mean? I was humbled, and I remember celebrating my 11th birthday at McDonald's because my parents took us to McDonald's.
Wow.
And we sat there and had family. But having both your parents in your life for a period of time and their experiences that's the real wealth. You know what I mean? That's wealth in itself. So.
It really is. And sometimes, especially in the African American like community, we don't have typically like both parents in the home, right? Either we have either dad or we have mom. Like sometimes we don't have both. So like you said, that's prosperity for some people. Like that's success. That's royalty because you're able to have both parents. So you could glean from both parents and learn from both parents. So that's a beautiful thing. And I applaud your parents for, having that solid foundation in the household for you and having that example. So that's really, really good. So also, what was like some of the hardest challenges you had to face growing up, besides, absolutely, Miss Shalise. Yeah. Thank God for your parents. Yeah.
I think the hardest things that I had to experience growing up really was like once coming back to the United States was, I actually went there and I actually gained the accent out there. So coming back, dealing with the insecurities of at the time, I feel like, foreigners were like, we were hyped on and joked on because of like our parents and our different like upbringing. So coming back with an accent, it was a different perspective of self. You know what I mean? It's just like being able to appreciate who you are and love yourself. These are things that I feel like now, even in this day and age, people should use to promote. To teach students, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like kids need a class on self-love, you know what I mean? Now more than ever, because these are the things that haunt people for the rest of their lives.
Man.
You know what I mean?
It really does. And that's so good that you say that because you had sometimes we complain, we kind of mope around about different things that we don't have or some things, and we look at, like you said, even social media and kind of like compare like, oh, they have this, they have that, but you don't know what they had to go through to get to where they at now, right? You don't know the struggle, you don't know the journey that they had to endure to get to where they're at right now.
Right.
So, it just you have to appreciate where you at and what you have, because some people don't have what you have at this moment,
Absolutely. And moving back here and moving to the projects was just a whole different experience. Like,
wow.
We just went from poverty to poverty.
Man.
You know what I mean? So it was like it was an interesting time in my life at the time. So it was like, I'm super excited, to be able to be in a space after those times, to be able to tell people these stories and to have experienced that, because it was super influential to like who my personality is now.
Right.
I treat people.
Wow. Now, do you go back to Nigeria and like meet your, go see your family and visit them? Do you have family still out there?
Yeah, I do. I haven't been in a while though. So, I still have family out there, but I haven't been in a while. I really was just talking to my mother today about going back there because she's actually out there right now, because she was out here, but then she ended up leaving because she was trying to escape the second wave because she got COVID earlier this year.
Wow.
And luckily she survived it. Like, you know what I mean?
Praise God.
Yeah, she really didn't have any like she was in the hospital, but she didn't have to stay there too long, you know what I mean? And that was a blessing. So she was like, no, I'm not staying for the second wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially since there's no guarantee that you can't get it again. People are getting it 2-3 times after.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you had it, you can still get it again.
I have not, because they was doing to the. I know that we got to pivot a little bit, but no, like some
people don't gain the antibodies. The antibodies actually wear off after a period of time. So if you look in the news, if you type it up, certain people have gotten COVID 2-3 times.
That's crazy. Y'all got to make sure y'all wearing y'all masks, washing y'all hands.
Absolutely, all of that.
All of that. You know,
the elderberries, all that stuff.
Exactly. Vitamins, all of that. You need all of that because it's so much going on. Like, yeah, that's a whole nother situation.
I'm disappointed that my lighting is not as great as yours. Your skin is like I went to an esthetician, so I'm like, my skin should be glowing too. Right now, I feel like it's great.
It is glowing. It's just the light.
Nah, I need whatever lights you got. You got the light from heaven on you right now.
It's the glory of God. Look, it's
the
glory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like doing like you said, you came from pretty much poverty to poverty, you know, coming to the States and then still having to live like in not the so best situation for as living. So what would you say, even like from just even who you are now, like what was like some mental barriers that you had to get rid of, like, and how would you able to get through that moment, like as you grew up and got older and different things of that nature?
I think the mental barriers that I had to, get over was like, choosing to live the life that God has for you than the one that you have planned for yourself. You know what I mean? Because ideally, as Africans, man, you're either going to be a lawyer, or you're going to be a doctor. You know what I mean? It's going to be one or two things. And I think coming up and realizing my passion was for people, you know what I mean? And I think that it really took like really creating I would say my own personal relationship with God was what catapulted me to the space that I am now. Because sometimes it takes for a long time for you to hear from God, and to be able to hear from God is a process in itself. So it took a long time because you have to silence the noise around you. And, that's ideally what brought me to this place. You know what I mean? To be able to get to a place where I'm able to say, you know what, Ladun, Thompson, you sit down, God stand up in this situation. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times a focus is what you want to do. And to this day, I'm still an actor, still passionate about it. But I'm really leaning more on what God wants me to do right now, and everything else is falling in place.
Yes,
it's at a place right now, like acting is my passion, but I can create my own stuff now. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to wait for it. I look at auditions sometimes and I don't even like respond to them because
really?
I'm in a space like I know the content that I want to put out there. I have the necessary tools to do so. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I hear people complain all the time, but like we're in such a space now, like there's no can't for me. The only thing that like, some of us that plagues some of us and even plagues me is procrastination. That's it.
That's it. Wow.
That's the only thing we battle now. I battle now is procrastination.
Now?
You're like, I mean, I'm doing a lot with what I have to do, but some of the things and ideas in my head, it's still on God's timing. You call it procrastination, it's still timing.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of things that I had a clothing line before this brand, and it was cool. It just wasn't like God ordained. You know what I mean? I had it with some friends of mine, and it just wasn't like, it was good. We had a good, when it ended, we didn't end on bad terms. We just decided we weren't going to do it anymore.
Wow.
So, and then next thing you know, years later, this one kicked off for me.
Wow. So we're going to get into that, but I want to touch on, like you said, procrastination and some of the mental barriers that we may have, but also it's sometimes I was seeing a quote, maybe it was on social media, like probably like a few weeks ago. And it said, sometimes we try to, have God to give us the whole plan of our whole entire life. God, give me a 5-year plan, give me a 10-year plan. But sometimes we have to ask God, what is my assignment for this season? What am I supposed to do for this season in my life? So I won't have so much anxiety or depression, or, I'm procrastinating because I'm so worried about 5-10 years from now, when I should worry about today. I should be worrying about this month. I should be worrying about next month or whatever, something that's in arm reach, but not 5 years from now.
Right.
So it releases some things on the inside of us so we can really focus in on what he wants us, because that doesn't mean that, his word will never return back to him void. So we just trust him with this moment in our life. And like you said, like, you had a clothing line before, but it just wasn't, God ordained, pretty much. It wasn't like, hey, it wasn't no hard feelings. It just wasn't the right time, or it just wasn't God's plan for your all's life in general. So that was really good that you said. And procrastination doesn't matter what level you're on. If you emerging, or you feel like you have hit success, we all kind of deal with that in some aspects of our life. So that was really good, and I thank you for that. Can you share a little bit about how, even like now, going into, you started Body of God, and kind of like, what was the motivation behind that? Because I know, but I know some of my viewers may not know, during that time, how you started that, and like your mindset during that time.
When I started this, is funny. This story I've told so many times.
Mm-hmm.
The story itself is just like, I think I was going at a time when I wasn't being obedient, and I was just doing my own thing. And then sometimes God has to starve those things around you, whether it be relationships, whether it be businesses. God has to starve you till you solely depend on him. So that's kind of what happened. I really was in a relationship that got starved. The business got starved. I got to a place of just depression and sadness. And I just was like, and I let it, but I was dwelling in it for a moment, but then I really got to a place. I was like, all right, God, you got it. I'm leaning solely on you. And even in that time, it's like you're in the wilderness, and you're like, yo, God, I'm leaning on you. And you really more like, man, like, I'm telling God I'm leaning on him, and I'm only focusing on him right now. I still don't hear from him. I should go back to Egypt. You know what I mean?
Listen,
How you feel? You like, but I really had to press through, which was really a lot of times of prayer, fasting, being in church a lot. I was like in church 4 times out the week, and
wow.
I was there on Tuesday for Bible study, Thursday for men's meeting, Sunday, and I was doing all types of and even on Thursday I was there for the midday word, all of that stuff. And it was just a process. And I think the biggest thing I gained from it was just being like with the people and understanding, like, in this time of how you have to focus on being like of service. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing, is to be of service no matter what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
You're having a worse situation going on. For me, the thing I've heard is to be of service.
Ooh-wee.
I think a lot of people don't choose to be of service when they're going through the worst times. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. Like, I remember, I have a friend of mine, we both sit and think about moments when we've heard God, knowing we have $40 in our pocket, and you heard God say, give that person $20. And you're like, God, that is half of everything I own right now.
Exactly.
And you're like, nah, but then you give it to him, and then out of nowhere, somebody else shakes your hands and give you what you would call a Holy Ghost handshake. Here go $100. You're like, what? And that's what the thing is with people now, like in life. You got to be able to learn how to be obedient to God, because when you're obedient in the beginning, it won't feel like a sacrifice later. The things that feel like sacrifices now are probably because of obedience things that we were disobedient about in the past.
Jesus, preach this word. You better preach. Obedience is better than sacrifice. That's in the word. Look, he said something. He said something that's in the word. That is so good. And people don't understand how that, that's small or whatever you look at as far as a sacrifice. It literally, it propels us to something so much greater, so much bigger than we may not see. That's when faith comes in, right? So even though you can't see it, sometimes you have to continue to go, even when you don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're going to hit. Well, you just go. But when God says, like, I will never leave you nor forsake you, even when you're in the wilderness, even when you are in Egypt and you under a false God and you dealing with different things. And sometimes you know, like you said, hearing from God, and sometimes God speaks through people. So sometimes he probably spoke to you, and maybe it been your mama, maybe it had been your friend, or maybe it been a billboard that was speaking directly to you, and God was speaking his word to you through that. So sometimes we have to be very sensitive. Exactly. That's what my aunt, she's a prophet. Yeah, that's why some people aren't blessed. Right? Like, you just never know, and you reap what you sow, good or bad. So just continue to be a servant, like you said, even when you have $40 to your name, and God told you, give that half of what you already have, and I'm gonna bless you with more.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of people struggle with obedience, though. Like, obedience it's tough because it's just like being able to discern what God is saying to you. That's the tough part.
Yeah, exactly. Discerning is very key, especially when you get, like, you know, people in your life, or just even things, or just everything. Like, people say, oh, you need the Holy Ghost speaking tongue. No, you need the Holy Ghost to go to this Walmart, or go to, you know, that Target. You have to, you know, have discernment depending on what you are, you know, doing. So you just have to basically hear God, and be very sensitive to the Holy Spirit, because he will speak to you. That was, you just got me stirred up. Listen, you got me stirred up. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Donna. Appreciate you. So yeah, so tell us a little bit more about Body of God. We know it's faith-based, so tell us more about that. And yeah.
I mean, it's a brand I started 3 years ago. It's I'm looking for words to describe it. It's my main job. It's my only job right now. It's you know, for me, the biggest thing about the brand is that it just creates an opportunity for people to have a relationship with God and a conversation about God, because talking about God now is like politics. If you
absolutely
mention, you know, it's considered rude to ask someone who they would vote for. Are you a Republican or Democrat? These are weird. In the Black community, of course, it's easy to ask somebody, like, you're assuming everyone's a Democrat. But in the same token, when it comes to God, it's such a topic that's even in schools now, you know, that's not things they talk about. They try to avoid it as much. So with the brand, it creates an opportunity for people to just wear what they believe in. You know what I mean? And that's where the brand is now. I think for me, it's evangelism 101 without having to, you know, to do any, like, you know, I let my works, you know, the works of God really speak for me more than anything else. You know what I mean? The things, I'm making sure that people see that God is first in all I do. And if you go on my Instagram, you may, like, you know, I think that the conversation about religion and faith, I think the conversation should be more about relationships than religion, because I think a lot of times we tend to lose people with these ideas of what religion is and what Christianity is. You know what I mean? I think that it comes down to, now I'm in a place where you're able to talk to people and get them to understand what and who God is, where people have those conversations. Whether some people are Muslim, whether they're Christian, it's a conversation we're all getting to have now, because I think the religion that, you know, I say people, I'm a Christian, but the real religion I practice is love. You know what I mean? Love is God is love. So it's like, if love, if you're not leading with love, if you're not, like, giving love, if you're not able to speak with love, like, all of that is God. So you substitute that, you know, speak with God, you know what I mean? Lead with God. And that's just where we are now. We're able to have those conversations and get people to a place where, like, we're not pushing them away saying thou shalt not this, that. The conversation more is, I love you. You know what I mean?
I love you.
I love you regardless. You know what I mean? All sinners are welcome. You know what I mean? So that's the motto. I have a podcast coming out in a couple weeks. It's called The Unconventional Christian, but you'll hear more about that later. So, but
for sure. I think I've seen that in your bio too.
Yeah, Unconventional Christian is who I am.
Okay.
But I think that that's the podcast is coming. So like,
Okay, I
yeah,
look
but
forward to
you take that away. But the biggest thing about the brand is just that it's DJ Envy is my partner, and that even came about like spirit led because originally gave him a couple shirts, and I was and I used to throw parties, and he used to be one of the DJs I would book, and he would come. But after we got to a certain place, he was wearing the shirts. Oh, he had one shirt actually. He wore it all the time, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta get Envy a different shirt." But then it came to me, and I was like, "Wow, I should ask Envy if he would like to be a part of this brand." But then I was also like, "Well, God gave me this brand. God gave me this idea. This is a God-breathed, God-engineered idea. Do I just give it and incorporate somebody into it? Are we even equally yoked to be part of a brand together?" So then I went to sleep, prayed on it, and I swear at 6:30 the next morning, I got a call from somebody, a friend of mine who's friends with DJ Envy as well, and was like, "Yo, Envy hit me and said, yo, he's interested. He wanted to find out about like what he could do to be a part of the brand because it really aligns with his spirit." And I was like, that's an amazing chance to tell people, like, if you got to lean on God solely for your ideas and if you don't put God first, you won't hear from God for a while. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like, and that's the biggest thing, is trying to hear from God, because sometimes you'll have things and people around you that will stop you from hearing from God.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And until you separate yourself from those things, then you will hear from God again. And it's a tough thing because we love people, we love places, and we love ideas. And sometimes we start to put ourselves more first than we do put God. So
Jesus.
it's like really being able to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's your Isaac? What are you willing to sacrifice in this season to hear from God again? You know what I mean?
That's heavy. Drop the mic, okay? Because that's deep. You feel what I'm saying? Because we have to understand, you just never know how God can, if you get in position, you never know how God can move on your behalf in any capacity, right? Like if you just be obedient to what he instructed, like you said, like this is God ordained, like this is God mission, this is God vision, this is what God placed on my heart to do. So I'm gonna pray about it and see if I want to in sync with DJ Envy, or whoever watching this may, something been on your heart. Like, I really want to incorporate this into the business, but you have to remember who gave you the vision in the first place.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Because anything is built off on God it's going to last. Anything that you do for Christ is going to last. So once we understand that and say, you know what, I'm gonna put God first, and like you said, being also being intentional too, because that's how you build a relationship. Like you said, it's more relationship over religion. It's just like you dating someone, right? You have to spend time with them. You have to learn them. You have to see how you all communicate, because how they communicate with someone else may be different how they communicate with you. So once you build that relationship, listen, you can literally hear and understand and flow with that person. So and it's the same way go for you and God. So that's
and I have an advice for people. Sometimes people have that battle where they're like that Isaac, that thing that they're like struggling with, whatever it is. The easiest way to like get God to be dead in the center of certain things is to really like surround yourself with him and be in his presence all the time. And even those things that are not for you, whether it be relationship, places, the things that's just hard for you to let go of, they'll let go of you.
Oh, that's good.
Because like the two can't, like, it's like oil and water. If something is not for you right now and you engulf yourself with God, like those things will slowly but surely begin to pull away from you. And there will be hopefully it's a soft release for you, but then sometimes it's a hard cut. But God has you in a place where he's strengthening you in the season to be ready for the next level. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's so good. Oh my God. Yeah, you got me stirred over here, sir. This is good. Oh my God. And we have to understand, like, some people is in our life for a season and a lifetime. Everybody isn't going to be in your life forever. No one is going to really, I ain't gonna say lifetime. So some people are going in seasons with you. So you have to know when somebody's season is over in your life, when that assignment has been complete, and you can't hold on to people because that's my friend. I've been knowing them since I was a kid. We didn't grow up together. I was broke with them. But sometimes people want to stay at, level 5. They don't want to go to 25, and it's okay. Don't mean they won't get there, but they won't get there with you. And like you said, it's no love lost. It's no beef, even with your clothing line, your previous clothing line. The people that you partner with.
This one, time could come. I may have to release.
You might have to release.
I'm willing. But like I tell you, people, the hardest thing is to release sometimes, and it's like the journey. I still battle with that. Don't get me wrong. I battle with that consistently because my heart is for the people. You know what I mean? And that's a big battle though, like, because, like you kind of go out your way to try and understand people and understand human ways of people. And you get to a place that you're so tied to them, that your soul tied to them as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have the same, like my friends, they really say, they're like, yo, and I'm not comparing myself to Jesus. My friend says, you have this unconditional love that's like Christ. The only thing is I don't have the same ability to deal with the pain of the separation that he does, because that was Christ. Christ was able to understand that, but sometimes I don't. I'm like, nah, they good. I can't let this person suffer. You know what I mean? I don't want them to suffer, but sometimes God, even the people, like if you're in a relationship, right, and you don't want to let something go, even though you heard it in your spirit a couple times, God may not even be like removing this person from your life forever. It may just so he can deal with them on his own. But sometimes we hold on to them so long that it's like a fruit. It spoils in your hand. Now it's no longer no good to you at all.
That's good. That's good. We didn't pivot. We didn't pivot.
We got
but when you got
pivot back.
We got pivot back. But that was really good though. Like you can't hold on to bad fruit, man. Like every tree produces some fruit, but what fruit will you produce?
Right.
And don't hold on. Listen, don't hold on to no bad fruit, because baby, you will be stinking.
Right.
Okay. So, oh my God. So yeah, talk about okay, so that happened. You partnered up with you said you was a party promoter, right? So you ended up partner with DJ Envy. So did the business just take off after that, or was it already successful? How was that?
I mean, I definitely, there was a skyrocket in difference, and it caused me to have to, I was never really like a business person that would deal with sales and learning e-commerce and things like that. But that's part of the journey of being faithful over a few things. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to become better. You can't sit there and just say, oh, it's going to work itself out. No, faith is faith and works. You know what I mean? You have to do the things necessary to make your brand continue to grow. But it definitely took off. There was more opportunities for me to connect with people. And I'm always going to be forever grateful, because I'm grateful for the opportunities that just the being next to him has created. You know what I mean? One thing you can't sit there and pretend like it's not. God created that opportunity for us, and I'm blessed to be able to be in that situation. Like it definitely took off. It took about 2 years, and now it's a constant work and it's constant business, and I'm constantly in a place where I'm still so hands-on with stuff. You know what I mean? It's the things I'm learning about leadership, and sometimes you have to release and let get other people in place. But it's something I'm still learning. Sometimes I'm walking past and I'm at the office space and I'm looking at the orders, and even though somebody's coming to do the orders, I'm like, nah. I love the feeling of somebody ordered at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? And I see it and I'm like, I'm going to process this order, get it, and have the post office pick it up immediately. Mm-hmm. Now, this person who ordered on Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. on Wednesday evening, the package is at their crib. They're like, yo, this is the fastest I've ever gotten anything. So it's like customers, I have a love for the customer. It's almost like I have a love for the people. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I love about him, man, like he's not like it's not hard to reach, right? Like I slid and I remember you had a live and you was Justin from Suburban
Yeah.
Psychologist. So I interviewed him last month. So literally I was seeing you guys and y'all was talking and I love how y'all was engaging with the audience and stuff like that. And I was like, these people, they cool as ever. Like, so I slid in the DMs and you know, I gave him his flowers, like, man, I see what you're doing, like you working and stuff like that. And I appreciate your work and different things of that nature. And then we just kind of connected that way. And it wasn't like he took freaking 2-3 months to respond back or like, and I know he's a busy man, right? Like I see you traveling, you know, doing photo shoots and doing different things, living your best life. You feel what I'm saying? But you still, you know, in tune with your audience, you in tune with your customers, you in tune with people who, you know, may see you from afar and like, man, I see you. I appreciate you know, your work and I appreciate everything that your brand stands for because people don't understand that, yeah, you can put God on the shirt, man, but are you really living a life? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I see that you embody that. You embody what you wear, what your brand stands for. So that was something that I really wanted to highlight on the show because people can have that on the shirt and then don't mean that at all.
Right.
You know? So.
And it's a constant reminder. Sometimes you put stuff on and you be like, it's almost like wearing like, it's almost like working for a company and being out in the streets and knowing that somebody recognizes that company. Like this, wait, that's my guy versus my enemy. Why he flipping everybody the bird and cursing everybody out? You know what I mean? Because of a moment. So like you learn to move with compassion. You learn to like be very vigilant of who and what you portray because you know you're being a, I guess, a servant. You're being like you're showing
a beacon of light for someone.
Yeah. So it's a constant journey for that too, though.
Yeah, that's really good. So can you share a bit about your values and how you live those values during your journey to success?
I mean, values for me, man, it's just loving everybody and being be able to make sure that people feel God when they come into contact with you. For me, it's like, you know, I've always, my goal in life was to change the world with love. As a child, how can I change the world? That was one thing I don't even think I had, like, I wanted to have a big house and I want to change the world with love. And still using a brand. It's a constant journey. It's a formula I'm still trying to figure out. You know what I mean? The brand, I have a production company I'm working on. So now the next thing is being able to bring films, using audio, using everything possible. Because God gives you these opportunities, man. If you waste it, you don't want God to remove his mantle and move on to the next person. I don't want to be Saul. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in a space where God's like, nah, I chose you, but you were more focused on your
own thing, your own will
than God. So that's where we are, and that's the journey.
Absolutely. It was something that you said that was so profound. The last thing you just said was you don't want God to like take his mantle off of you, right? Like because you do something else, right? Like sometimes like God promise and God word, it's going to come forth, whether it's through you or through somebody else, right? Like you still, I don't care if you're broken, I don't care if you broken on the inside or broke financially. Listen, you still have to go forth. You still the chosen one, despite of what you go through, despite of the things that you have done, and you don't want to allow God's hand to be off your life or just, you know, the mantle to be off you because you're not being obedient to what he have called for you to do. So I think that was really good. Really, really good. So as we're wrapping up, I want to appreciate everyone who came on. Miss Shalise, Beverly.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, Clifford, everyone who came on. And even if you watch this replay, I appreciate you as well. So what makes you not a statistic?
Because I was ready for this question.
I knew you were.
Well, what makes me not a statistic is I think it's just because I'm covered by God, and I think that like I'm not. My goal is to make sure that I'm completely aligned with God's purpose in my life, and I think that a lot of times, statistically, I think a lot of people's goals are to fulfill their goals. And sometimes the hardest part is you sit down. I say prayer. My prayer that I pray every day is always to like keep me aligned with the things that's meant for me and remove the things that are not meant for me. And that's I cringe every time I say it. I'm like, oh God, what if God says it's shrimp? You can't eat shrimp no more. Oh, God, Lord, not shrimp. Nah, that was not God.
Right. That was from the enemy to try to
And best believe, if God says shrimp and you say, nah, I didn't hear that, you're gonna be allergic to shrimp next week.
Man, God know how to pivot. God know how to look. You didn't pray for it. You better prepare for it.
It's when you ask for patience, you're gonna find out you're gonna be tested. You say you unconditionally love someone, God gonna test your unconditional love and see if you're gonna mishandle that.
Ooh, that's a word. That's so true.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so true.
I heard somebody say, unconditional. Like, ooh, don't say that out loud. I'm gonna test you tomorrow. And it's gonna be the thing that you be like, it's the thing that you say, that's my deal breaker. If that happens, I ain't no longer gonna be here. And that's gonna be the test.
It's gonna be your test. Are you prepared for the test? Because we all have to go through a test to say a testimony, right? We all have to go through some things, and we just have to be prepared for whatever we pray to God for, whatever we're expecting God for. We have to prepare for it. God, I want an influx of whatever. I want it, whatever your heart desire. And God give you that, but are you going to be ready if it come right now, today? If it come tomorrow, will you be ready for that? God, I want real love.
Pivot.
Now, would you be ready if it comes?
That's a journey for everyone. I'm in a relationship right now, and the biggest thing is just making sure that the alignment with God is there, and that's
I seen y'all Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see that.
And it's a constant journey all the time. I tell you that.
Absolutely. It's, man, we all learn. Like, if you're not learning, you dead. We all going to learn. It doesn't matter where you at in life, where you going, you're going to continue to learn, man. And that's why it's so important that you use discernment on who to lean from, who to learn from, because you can't eat from everybody's table.
Right.
So you have to be very cautious and very, aware of that. So if we was to see the 18-year-old of you on this live right now, what would you say to that young man?
If I had to talk to 18-year-old me, I would say to starve those distractions, man. Starve them. Like, really, because I know 18-year-old me was not leaning on God at all. I was totally leaning on my own understanding, and I thought I knew God. You go to church, you grow up, you pray, you say your prayers at night. I would definitely tell my 18-year-old me to starve those distractions and really lean solely on God for all the instructions. I think that would be it, to be honest.
Wow. So starve
those distractions, man.
Starve them distractions and lean not to your own understanding, but always acknowledge God.
Absolutely. And start practicing self-love back then.
Wow.
I think it takes a long time to get to a place where it took me a long time to get a place where I loved myself and I felt worthy 100% of everything happening to me. I still suffer from imposter syndrome now. So, yeah.
Now, quick question. Are you on Clubhouse?
Halfway.
Man, they talk about that.
I'm on Clubhouse, but I feel that's a new distraction to me.
Really?
Because, you can be on it for 3 hours. People have the opportunity for the first time in their life, they're in a room with their favorite actor or their favorite celebrity. And you're like, please pick me to speak so that I can have a conversation where I spoke to this person. You can sit there for 6 hours and people will be there 6 hours. I done fell asleep, woke up and looked and chat. And I was never paying attention, but I realized how easily it is a distraction. Because I think imagine being on a clubhouse at 1 o'clock. Because some of them start at 1 o'clock, and you look and you're like, oh, they on this 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're laying next, if you're laying next to your significant other in like the place where you're married, and you have to get up to go out the room to be on the phone till 2:30 in the morning, you're gonna be on that couch for the rest of the week. So I look at the notifications all the time, and I'm still like, Ladun, are you ready to be 100% connected to this? Because Instagram alone is a distraction.
Man, you better say it. Yeah.
So I can't add. I just don't know if I'm ready to add another one, and I gotta be talking all the time
to get connected. That's the only way.
It's a lot of cap on it, though. I said.
Man, it's a lot of cap. It's a lot of cap.
On there.
It's a lot of cap.
A lot of cap. I'm like, I know this person. No. I don't want to go in there capping. I want to be me. I want to be authentic me. I haven't even tried to start a room yet with nobody.
You know it's gonna be like 200-300 on there. Like,
I don't even know. That's the point. I'd be like, what's it talk about? You know what I mean? That's a journey in itself, trying to figure out what to talk about. Really, that like
you gotta. Yeah.
You want to engage people. I don't want to just be there like, because I've seen people's topics start off with how to be an entrepreneur in 2020. Then like you go in there 2-3 hours later, they're like, who got the biggest butt in the movie Baps in 1993? You're like, what?
Where did he come from? And you're waking up. Listen, you've been on for 6 hours. You done fell asleep, got up, ate.
The storyline, man. You're like, what? Oh nah. I'm not about to sit here and be a part of this.
Man, if you on Clubhouse, listen, y'all gotta be
careful about the rooms you in, because you enter a room and sometimes you just go in there because somebody you know is in there to go listen. But you're in that room, and if somebody looks to see where you're at, and you're in like, I like rough sex at night. I mean, I'm sorry, like, but there's gross stuff that you'll see in there.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
And I go in rooms, I'll be like, what is he doing in here? So it's like,
and these are judging people like, hold on, I thought you was, I didn't know you'd be about that.
You gotta be careful. People, it's a public room. So you in there talking about somebody, and some people go in there and they complaining about their significant other, and it's like, and it's so easy for somebody else to be like, yo, I know his significant other.
Yeah.
On Instagram, they different.
It's so different. Like, and people, man, and I feel like it's some married people on here. Like, they've been on for 10 hours.
Right.
Y'all have time for anything else. You know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Look, we done pivoted, but if y'all on Clubhouse, don't be capping on that. Listen, because I know y'all. Listen.
Yeah, stop capping.
Don't cap. Don't even cap to get put on. Like, don't even cap.
Right.
But, look, this was a good conversation. I appreciate everyone who came on. Like, I appreciate you, Ladun, like, for coming on and talking and sharing your story. Would you want to give last remarks to anyone who may be an inspired clothing, want to go into clothing or go into acting? What advice you would like to give them before we head off? Man,
I think that some of us don't realize that God has given us the opportunities to build our own platforms, our own opportunities. Just do it on your own sometimes. Don't wait for nobody. Take the time and really press forward, and things will happen. I think that a lot of times I come across people and they come talk to me about certain things, and it's the simplest thing in the world for them to do is just to look. Like, everything's at your fingertips. Stop procrastinating. You're missing out on a lot of money and opportunities and blessings because you're procrastinating.
So I thank you. I appreciate that. I took that in for myself as well. So if y'all like the prophet say, if you will receive it, grab it for yourself. So yeah, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time out to come on, share your story, be transparent, give some nuggets. Tell us, don't be capping on Clubhouse.
Stop capping.
Don't be capping, man. Don't be capping, man. But yeah, we're gonna stay connected. Oh yeah. Also, how can people stay connected with you?
You can check me out. On Instagram, it's I am Ladun. I am Ladun. On business page is at BodyOfGod. Facebook, Ladun Thompson. It's not hard to find me. Yeah, and that's it, really.
That's about it. Yeah, and your clothing brand, what's the website?
It's www.coveredbygodclothing.com.
Covered by, okay. I'll put that in.
I got the other domain, which still brings you to the same place. Is mygodversusmyenemies.com. So
okay. Once I get off here, you all, I would definitely put his information in and have said connected with him. He's definitely cool, as you all can see. Cool, down to earth guy. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all the things that you had to face to get to where you are now. So thank you for your time, and thank you everyone who came on. If you watch this replay, I appreciate you as well. And until next time, see you guys next time. Have a great night.
Later, y'all.
Later. Bye.